All right, super special episode of Splash Hit today. We have baseball royalty join us. 32 seasons as a professional manager, 28 in the big leagues, 4 World Series champions, 3 with the Giants, and 6 most wins in Major League history, and the 11th manager in Major League history to earn 2,000 wins. Bruce Bochy joins the show today. Boch, man, thanks for coming on.
Oh, of course, of course. I was just telling you earlier, there's not a whole lot I can do here right now in Nashville. Got icy roads. It's below freezing, so we're all staying indoors right now.
When are you heading to spring training?
I'm going to go in March, first part of March. I'll be there the whole month, though. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting to know these players, seeing the younger players as well. I'll shoot over to watch the minor leaguers. Just try to catch up with everybody. Of course, the staff. Tony and I, we've met a couple times, but yeah, it's going to be an exciting time for me. I'm getting back to Bay Area. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that was my next question. Welcome back. How does it feel to be with the Giants again?
Oh, it feels great. You see me with the orange. I'm excited. Yeah. And you know what? I didn't know if I was going to, take a year or two off, or if I, would do something like this. But talking to Buster, I just, he had mentioned earlier, that hey, I'm a Giant, and I feel like that. That's my home. I spent 13 years there, so I'm excited to to stay in the game. I'm in a good place right now. Don't have to make a lot of those decisions that managers have to make this time of year, but it's going to be exciting for the family too. They're looking forward to it. I have a son that's a firefighter there. I'll get to see him quite a bit.
Well, that's cool. We're also glad to have you back. Talk about Buster a little bit. Like, what's your guys' relationship like now? How's it evolved from a player to now president of baseball operations? And what do you think about the job he's doing so far?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, it's going to change from manager to player to what it is now. Now he's my boss, but I think more importantly, we're just probably closer friends now. You always have that little distance as a manager. That just comes natural, I believe. This is my second time, though, that I've had a player that ended up being my boss with Chris Young there in Texas, and now with Buster. But no, we've been texting. When he makes these moves, I get excited about them. I just getting Bader. I'll fire off a text. Just keep up with everything, and so and that was a big reason why I wanted to come back, because of Buster being there and being the president.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the organization right now, Boch, and a lot of Giants fans are watching this, and maybe they're not happy with all the signs this offseason, but to me, it's more of a big picture thing. We have the right people in the right place. You, Dusty, Buster, guys that have won championships before, and maybe you could just talk about the direction the organization is heading and your feelings about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think they have a really good foundation. I mean, you look at the lineup, I think it's a team that's going to put runs on the board this year. You're going to have Devers for a full year. You got a couple guys, 3 guys that could hit 30 plus home runs in the lineup. I think it's a fairly young lineup. When you're looking at, I don't know what Willie is, probably 30 years old, and Devers is around in that area. So, but anyway, I think they've added some important pieces to the lineup. A guy like Bader, I know they wanted to improve the defense. I've always been pitching centric. I've always loved defense, especially in that ballpark. So I like what they've done to the rotation. As always, it's going to be a key to keep that rotation healthy, because those guys that they're going to throw out there, you start with Webb and Ray, and of course Mahle, Adrian Hauser. Those guys are going to give you a chance to win when they go out there. And the bullpen always plays a huge part of your season. So we'll see how that goes. But they have good arms down there, and so I think they're adding some nice pieces, and some good pieces to work with. And as always, you don't know how the year is going to go. It takes a life of its own. But these guys do what we expect them to do. It's going to be a nice year. It's a tough division, no getting around it. But I can't tell you what's going to happen from this point to spring or even until the season starts, but I think they've added some nice pieces.
Well, let's talk about the bullpen a little bit. Like there was nobody better, I don't think, in the history of the game of managing a bullpen. And when you talk about how important that is in today's game and maybe what's going on with the Giants situation, a lot of times you see managers burn a bullpen out early in the season. They got nothing left in October. The guys are all gassed. Like, what was your philosophy on how to run a bullpen?
Yeah, and Tony asked me that question. That was one of the questions he asked me when we got together here in Nashville. And yeah, I'd like to say there's a secret sauce, but every year is different. You got to adapt to the bullpen that you have. You may have a frontline closer like a Hoffman or a Wilson, and then we kind of piece it together when we didn't have that one closer. Casilla did probably the lion's share of it, but we had to adjust there with him, and so. It's just, hopefully you get the arms that you can get the matchups that you want. Guys that are, I call them men, and, guys that they're winners because they're coming in with the game on the line. And so you want the type of player that wants to be out there then. And so I think this bullpen has some really good arms. They got some nice lefties and righties, to get the matchups that they want. Games change a little bit with that three batter minimum, where I had Romo and Lopez, and I'd move those two around quite a bit. But so no, they have some good arms, and you're getting Foley, who has a really nice arm. Hopefully he'll be back, I think, in May, so he'll make that bullpen even better.
Boch was just some fantasy camp in Scottsdale, and Jeremy Affelt had a team. He was one of the coaches. So there was a lot of Boch stories going on in the coach's room. And he was telling me about how influential you were on his career.
Yeah. He was a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun to get on to, have some fun with, and he takes it well. But he was so valuable in that bullpen. You need a guy like that. A guy who can go multiple innings, face lefties and righties, who's resilient. I didn't give him a lot of days off. He could handle it. Had his ups and downs like all bullpen guys, but he handled it well. And that's the key to a team. That's the key to a player. Every individual is being resilient. So, but he just had a great way of about not making baseball his sense of significance. He took the game seriously, but he didn't take himself so seriously, and he kept everybody loose down there. And a lot of fun, and I still. We still text all the time. We stay close. In fact, I'm going to see him here a couple weeks here at this Safari Club.
Yeah, that relationship you have with all your players. I mean, you talk about when you win a world championship, that just brings everybody so close together, and you guys have a bond for life. I'm sure you stay in touch with a lot of your players.
Yeah, you do. I mean, let's face it. You've been there. You're together for 162. Well, counting spring training, over 200 games. You do become like a family. Probably, as years go, I should keep in touch a little bit more. But we have some group texts with all the teams I've been with. So I try to keep track of everybody, and I look forward to the reunions, things like that. And like I said, I'm looking forward to just getting back to Bay Area and seeing a lot of these guys. I talked to Wotus a couple of days ago and just touched base with him. And, these guys meant so much to me, Rigetti, Wotus, Flannery, but we do keep in touch.
You talk about all the teams you managed, and you mentioned Trevor Hoffman, and I played against you guys in 1998. And I know you've won 4 World Series. But that had to be one of the most talented teams you ever managed. I mean, there were superstars everywhere on that San Diego Padres 1998 team.
Yeah, it really was. It's probably one of my biggest disappointments that we didn't win the World Series because we were talented. I remember going in spring training and thinking this team's going to do something special. I mean, as I said, we had men all around that field, Kim and Eddie Vaughn and Wally Joyner, Tony Gwynn. These guys were a close-knit group too, and we got to the World Series. Of course, we ran in a juggernaut, Yankees. That's the year they had that incredible season, and but it was a special year. And that group, they have a group text, and they all stay close together. And it just shows you how important, the culture, the chemistry that you create with the team is. And you see why, that team won or our giant teams. They were a very close knit group.
What would Bruce Bochy, after 28 seasons and all your accomplishments, and tell a young Bruce Bochy, excuse me, tell a young Bruce Bochy maybe in 1995 when you first started managing with all your experience, what would you tell the rookie manager in 1995?
Well, 95, I'll tell you what I would have told myself is to delegate a little bit more. When I first started in 95, I did everything. I ran the meetings, talked about how we were going to pitch the hitters, where we were going to play them. And then after a couple of years of that, I said, well, I'm not going to last long doing everything here. And, if you're the smartest guy in the room, then you're in the wrong room because, the staff that you hire, the pitching coaches and base coaches, they all have their expertise. And so I would have told myself, use those guys. I had Davey Lopes, for example, at first base, so I let him run the base run. And hey, if you think they can steal it, you got something on these pitchers, send them. So that's where it would have started. After that, probably, maybe be a little bit more patient. I know I would show frustration in the dugout and things. And, a couple of snaps you feel bad about because a lot of people look at me and they say, he just seems so calm, but don't let that belie what's going on underneath. And, kicking the buckets, and they would have some laughs. One time my foot got stuck in the bucket and it's just, it's just something that I probably would have told myself, which I think that's why the way I end up managing the last 3, 4, 5 years was just being a little bit more patient and realize how hard the game is.
Well, what's your impressions of Tony so far, and what's going to be his biggest challenge?
Yeah, no, he's a very impressive man. He's going to be fine. He's got a great way about him. He's smart. He understands baseball. He's been doing this a long time. Been coaching, wearing different hats, and so he has a great feel for the game. Obviously, the biggest challenge is all the games that you're playing, and I don't think he's ever lost 60, 70 games in a season. So, you got to deal with that. Of course, the workload on the players, college, you can run them out there every game. But those guys are going to need a rest, particularly the bullpen. Those guys, you got to just keep an eye on them, which they will. He's got 2 nice pitching coaches there that will help him. Of course, Tingler, he's managed. He's going to bring that experience, and Washington will be there to help him out. And of course, Dusty and I, we're there to help. We're there. Anything he wants to ask or talk about, we're there for him, and we want to help him succeed. I want to see the Giants win another championship. That's the biggest reason why I'm here.
That's awesome. Giants fans are loving to hear that. Boch, I managed an A-ball in San Jose, and the game was moving so fast for me. I'm coaching third base. I'm putting on signs. I got to get a guy up in the bullpen. Is the speed of all that and maybe the speed of the major league game going to be a big challenge for Tony, or is it just baseball?
Yeah, you know what? It could be. Again, not ever coaching college, but I'm sure moves were made in the college game too. But the biggest thing is just being prepared. Don't be surprised, and so that's what you have to tell yourself, and you do that before the game. So you're ready for anything that comes up, and that's where a guy like Tingler is going to help out too. Even the pitching coach. I started relying on coaches more too. Just give me my options. I did my own thing, but I wanted Woe to say, okay, what am I missing something here? This is what I'm going to do. And Ronnie was great. Rags was great, and so that will be an important part of the game.
So open lines of communication. You mentioned Tyler Mahle earlier, newest Giant pitcher, one of the newest Giants pitcher. You managed him. What can you tell Giants fans about Tyler Mahle?
Yeah, I love the guy. I was behind this move. Believe me, he was so good before he got hurt. We got to keep this guy healthy. He's a really good competitor. He's like a number 1 or 2 when he's on the mound and he's healthy, throwing well. We had, Evaldi and DeGrom on that staff, and he was throwing as well, if not even a little better than them before his injury. So he's a 4-pitch guy. He's got that riding fastball. He's got great command. He's got a nice split to work with, and he'll mix in the breaking ball. And good poise. Just has a way of getting tougher with men on base. Good teammate. A lot of good qualities. Yeah, he made this a better staff when he joined us.
You said riding fastball. That's awesome. That's old school. Everybody says spin rate right now. And the videos I've seen of Tyler Mahle, he's throwing like 91 and 92 pass guys late in the count. He elevates the fastball, and it looks like it's playing up to like 97, 98.
Yeah, exactly right. Don't look at him, coming in throwing harder than that. He'll bump 92, 93, but he just got, that good ride extension, all that, it just jumps on him, and he'll use it too. He's got a lot of confidence, and but the biggest thing is his command. He can pitch at all 4 quadrants as well as anybody.
All right, switching gears a little bit to the Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you getting into the Hall of Fame based on all the hard work you put in, everything you've done in the game of baseball for so many years?
Well, I'll start with I'm not in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
that
I meant getting into the Hall of Fame. What would that mean to you? Would be a better question.
That decision will be made by people. But you know what? It's just hard to wrap my head around that. I just see the Hall of Fame, for the great players, the benches and Willie Mays and those guys. But of course, I'm not going in as a player. I get that, but as a manager, it just blows you away when that comes up. That question comes up to me a lot, and it's just hard for me again to think that that's a possibility, because that's such a high pinnacle that I never even thought about that. When I started managing minor leagues, I didn't know if I was going to manage in the major leagues. And now, this Hall of Fame talk has been coming up, last couple of years, and so it's very humbling, and we'll see what happens. From
Spokane to the Hall of Fame, that'd be pretty cool. I saw your first year, you were like, I don't know, 10 or 15 games over in A-ball. What was that like going from, I did it too quick, Boch. I jumped out, retired, and then got right into coaching. And I wasn't ready for that transition. I was still taking infield with the guys, jumping into groups at batting practice. What was that transition like for you?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And if I would have stayed in the minor leagues managing, I would have been fine. Spokane especially was a great way for me to start because of these young kids coming in, and you have to deal with so many different things in the minor leagues, as you probably found out, anything from, family issues, homesick, things like that. So it just teaches you how to deal with the different personalities, learn what makes guys tick. You got to look under the hood at all these players and see how you have to adapt to coaching them. So it was just a great experience for me. I loved it. Now you brought up coaching the minor leagues. You brought up some good things too. You did everything in the minor leagues. You coached third. You had to make the moves. You had to think about the pitching. You had to make sure the lineup card was straight in the dugout and all. And that really helped prepare me for managing in the major leagues. Actually, it was easier in the major leagues once I was up there as far as the game, because you don't get a chance to drift mentally as a minor league manager, because you got so many different things you got to do, and you might be out in that third base coaching box, and so you're trying to communicate your pitching coach, whatever. But that's just a special time, my years in the minor leagues.
Yeah. Who broke the lamp in the hotel room? You don't have to worry about in the big leagues, stuff like that. Felipe gave me some great advice. He was managing the Giants at the time, and he said, Frankie, make sure that your players get there before you. The biggest mistake minor league coaches make is they want to climb that ladder and get to the big leagues as coaches, and they lose focus. And he said, make sure your guys get there before you. And when you walk into that major league clubhouse someday, obviously I transitioned to broadcasting, all those guys will be thankful that you helped them get to the big leagues.
Yeah, I love Felipe, first of all. I got to start there. You're talking about Hall of Fame. I think this guy should go in the Hall of Fame with what he did as a player, what he did as a manager, broke barriers for the Latin players coming from the Dominican. Yeah, we're very close. And he was he was like a mentor to me. I would pick his brain. You know him. He's got that great wisdom, these great sayings. And in fact, in San Francisco, he's in my office all the time. In spring training, he was there every day, and still keep in touch with him. But yeah, the special man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be talking to you if it wasn't for him. He was the guy that called me up to the big leagues, and he's one of the biggest influences in my life. I'm sure there's a lot of players that feel the same about you. Okay, we'll end on this one, a fun one. You're 6 all-time in managerial ejections with 89. Tony's Italian. He's kind of fiery. Like, we both get that, right? You give Tony any advice about how he handles umpires? I don't think there's a lot of ways to get ejected now, especially with the ABS coming next year. But like, you talked about kicking buckets in the dugout. You were pretty famous for snapping on umpires.
Yeah, you're right, though. Great point. It's going to be hard for anybody to get thrown. Well, Bobby Cox will never get approached, but even, if you get 89, it's not crazy, but that's a lot. I don't see that happening now. There's no argument anywhere because you can replay everything. The ABS, that's going to change. That was your last chance to get thrown out on pitches, and if you use them up, well, shame on you. That's your fault. And so I don't see guys getting thrown out anymore. Now, occasionally they'll do a replay and they'll reverse it, and the manager, still go out there and argue, which I never did that, never understood it. I did one time. I take that back. Jonah Heim, they got him for blocking the plate against the White Sox, and he wasn't even in front of home plate. They overruled, the blocking the plate deal. But yeah, that's pretty much gone. So the Billy Martins and Lasordas and those Pinella was the best, but those acts, I think baseball will miss.
Yeah, we're sterilizing the game a lot right now. All right, Bochy, I'll let you go, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. The podcast is new. It's just starting out. A lot of Giants fans are paying attention. We're all so happy that you're back in the orange and black, and I know you're such a valuable resource to Tony and the whole organization. I look forward to seeing you in Scottsdale, Bochy.
Hey, back at you. Look forward to it. See you soon.
All right, Bruce Bochy,
Right.
Join in splash hit territory. Yeah, I don't fanboy much when I interview people, but I got to know Bruce toward the end of my career as a broadcaster, and he was always come up to me around the cage, ask how I was doing, and then when I came back to San Francisco, we would sit up in the press level where Susan sits and sit next to each other for games. And I've never heard a player ever say a bad thing about Bruce Bochy, not once. And that's hard. As a manager, you can't please everybody all the time. And when we were sitting up in the booth, and this was when Gabe was managing and Farhan was part of the regime, we were talking about philosophies about baseball. And we're on the same page about how this whole thing works. Obviously, he's won 4 World Series. He knows what he's doing. He relates to players. He can relate to all corners of a clubhouse and communicate with players, and then just run a game with feel and analytics and knowledge as good as anybody I've ever been around. But it was such a pleasure to get to know him, not on the level that his players got to know him, right? Because like he just said, you're with each other 8 months out of the year, but to watch maybe 15, 20 games, sit next to him, pick his brain. And I think at that time, he was a little bit frustrated in the way the organization was moving. And I don't think they were utilizing a future Hall of Fame manager like the way he should have been utilized. So it's just so cool to see him back in the fold. It's so cool to see him and Buster back together, and how that whole dynamic is kind of switched where now Buster's his boss. So really, really cool stuff. Big for the podcast, big for all you Giants fans watching. We can't thank Bruce Bochy enough. All right, that's another edition of Splash Hit Territory, one of my favorites. I don't usually watch these because I hate watching myself and listening to myself, but this is one I might check out again. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast. Yeah, there it is. Subscribe to Splash Hit Territory. Let's go, you guys. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell somebody on the street. Tell somebody you don't know. we want to get everybody on here. Like I said, we're going to be doing 3 shows a week during the season. Super excited about that. We can actually do some X's and O's and break down games, and we're not just trying to figure out what to talk about. So it's about to get really, really fun. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Like I always say on the way out, swing hard in case you hit it. It's my motto in life.